Hey, what's up, guys? Tyler here. Welcome to Tea Time with Tyler. I'm so excited you guys are here. That's right. Today, first off, yeah, we're going to talk about education. Yeah, we're going to talk about ideas and tips and tricks, and even just maybe explaining synchronous, asynchronous, blended learning. You never know. We might throw in a little flip learning. But today, I want to start off uh, with since it is Tea Time with Tyler, let's talk about what we're drinking today. I've got this nice herbal tea. It's called a blonde roast from Starbucks that I picked up on the way here. So in the chat, I would love to know, tell me please, where are you coming in from and what are you drinking this morning? And I just, let me know if you're excited about it or if you're just kind of doing it because that's the K cup you had on hand. So throw that in the chat. I'd love to see some familiar faces. I know a lot of you guys come in and check in and hang out with us. Am I lagging? It feels like I'm lagging. Am I lagging? I might need to swap over on the camera. If that's the case, I'm going to do that now because I definitely want you guys to not see a lag because I feel like there is. So I'm going to swap over. While I'm swapping over, take a look at this screen. This is actually what we're going to be talking about today. And so I'm going to switch that, but you should, okay, pause this. I want you to read this and we're going to talk about it. I'm going to switch my camera over real quick. Oh, there it is. Boom. Switching it over. Sorry, this is what they call a work in progress. But okay, so take a look at what we got. I'm gonna see if I can. There we go. All right. Okay, so take a look at this list. This is actually a graphic. This is actually a graphic from a fellow Google certified innovator, and her name's Nadine, and she is phenomenal. Seriously, a phenom. And she made this. She made this presentation. And this is just slide number 3, but it's called Teaching Digitally, and I want to share this resource with you guys. I've actually got it linked down there underneath this video. Link is in the description. So check this resource out. It is a free resource to help anybody K-12, anybody that needs it. It's got tutorials, it's got videos, it's got links. I love resources. I make a lot of resources and stick those out on the internet. I enjoy helping teachers save time, help them equip their classes, equip them as educators, and just give them confidence, let them know how what they're doing is important. And so Nadine falls into that same category. She makes so many resources and trainings. She's got a great YouTube channel as well. I think she actually linked in here. I think it's later on when she talks about YouTube. Let's see what slide that is. Yep, slide 14 under YouTube Essentials. She actually linked to a video that we did together. We were chatting about YouTube and education. But today, what I want to talk about, and I would love, again, if you're just joining us, jump in the chat. Tell me what you are, um, what you're drinking this morning because it's tea time with Tyler. So I'm drinking a blonde roast with extra cream. Sorry, that's my game. That's what I like. Tell me what you're drinking, and then if you have any questions about remote learning, about digital learning, anything like that, please let me know because I want to talk about my experience in digital learning, and then I want to roll through the differences in asynchronous, synchronous, and blended learning. Okay, so throw that in the chat. That makes this a lot more personal, to be honest with you. Plus, that's a way that you can talk to your classes about how they are interacting whenever you're going live on a video. And if you're wondering like what program this is, my internet's a little choppy at work right now. But if you want, this is called StreamYard, and I'll put that in the chat actually if you want a link to that. So StreamYard.com. And so if you want, it's they free. You can stream onto YouTube, and you can connect it, and then you can present your slides and everything. And I can actually make the slides bigger if I want to. I can take myself out of it. So StreamYard is a resource. Okay, it's a great resource, and they have a paid version, but the free version's totally cool. It just like has their logo. And so the other resource I'm talking about today, Julie. What's up, Julie? Coming in, drinking some coffee. If you're just joining us, tell us where you're coming in from, and also hit that red subscribe button because that's just a nice thing to do, and it's free. Mary, drinking water and blessed to be here. Hey, you don't say oops, I'm blessed. I knew what you meant. Blessed to be here. Hashtag blessed. That's what Bruno Mars said. So Julie, you've got students online and in person at the same time. and you're trying to on a separate monitor to see your online students. Okay, so you guys are doing like a hybrid model. Okay, excellent. I'm definitely going to throw out my thoughts on that, maybe some tips to help you guys. So let's roll into the stuff from Nadine's presentation. Again, if you want the links to all this, her presentation, it is linked in the description under this video. So let's talk about synchronous, asynchronous, and blended learning models. Okay, so synchronous, I'm gonna make myself small. Make yourself small, make it this big. Here we go. Okay, so with synchronous, you're looking at learning that is happening face to face in real time. These are your Google Meets, your Zoom calls, your Skype if people still do that. But that's your face to face time hangout. It's not what we're doing right now. Yes, it's considered synchronous because you guys are in live with what's happening, but traditionally when you talk synchronous learning, you're going to talk about like I can see your face, you can see my face, we're chatting. Now with you guys being able to talk in the chat, it still gets a lot of that across. It still gets a lot of that like in the moment interaction across, but it's different now. Now, I think like when you guys go in the fall, if you guys are doing virtual completely, I think it is really, really cool if you guys would jump in and do this. So when you've just got to present a lot of curriculum, but you want your students to be interactive, I would go on StreamYard or YouTube Live or one of the tools that we've talked about before and just go in synchronous. That way you can just get all the content out. Because how many Google Meets or Zoom calls have you been on where it's just one person talking the whole time? You might as well just do the video and let them be in the chat because the chat almost allows people to be more active. Here's this. Think of when you guys went in March, when you guys went to Zoom or Meet and you're chatting with your students, a lot of students would be hesitant to talk because you chime in, you could talk over somebody, you might interrupt the teacher. They're very hesitant to jump in and just start chatting. But you guys can chat right now, and I'm seeing it the whole time. Tammy got Diet Dr. Pepper. Lisa got the water. So you guys, you get the chance to talk and be a part of the conversation without like being afraid to interrupt the flow of the conversation. So I think this kind of stuff has like a really big place in education, especially moving forward with what we're doing. All right, so let's talk asynchronous. Asynchronous, that's where the learning, like Nadine has on her her resource, learning is anytime, anywhere, and self-paced. Okay, so that means that students can access that curriculum at any point in time. An example of this would be if you are, say, you're doing virtual, you have students that are going to be virtual in the fall. You can go in on like a Thursday or Friday afternoon, schedule the entire week's worth of assignments for a Monday, and then students just go in and watch it when they can. They watch the videos, they do the assignments, and then it's due by like Sunday night. There are a lot of LMSs that you can actually pace out. A lot of you guys know it because I saw like Lisa. She works at the school I worked at. We started school there. It was 6th through 12th grade. And we had all three of these. We had synchronous, asynchronous, and blended learning. We had it to where students could go in and they could move at whatever pace they wanted to get their assignments done, to work through the class. And so they didn't have to wait on the teacher to deliver it. Now they had a teacher there to help them, like sitting in the room. Some students were online, some students were like only there a few hours a day, a few days a week, but a lot of our students were in person and they're working at their own pace. And when we explain this program to parents and students, we had to be very clear that this is self-paced, not no pace. So it's like you students have to understand that they're going to have to move forward. And some teachers that didn't know much about the program, they might be like, well, a student can just sit there and disappear online and not do their work. Here's the difference with asynchronous learning. It is paced at that individual student's pace. Think of this. If you had a student come into class and they came into class, they sat in the back and they didn't say a word, they didn't contribute at all for 3 weeks, they are still 3 weeks closer to finishing that class. In our classes, we could have students that would come in, every day, and they would sit in front of their computer. If they didn't do any work, they did not move anywhere. They made no progress. So when you do asynchronous, that individual student has to push themselves forward. Time doesn't automatically move them forward. So there are some pros to making sure that students would be doing the actual work instead of just like combining with a group or just showing up to get past a class. And so I think that, you know, while it has its pros and cons, just like literally everything in the world has pros and cons, I think one of the pros is that you really individualize the instruction for that student. And remember, it's self-paced, not no-paced. And to be honest, and that's if especially if you guys go fully virtual in the fall, it's going to have to be a lot of your time spent following up with students. And I want to talk about some ideas you can use for that as you go in the fall. So last one is blended. Blended learning is a mixture of both types. Blended and flipped learning get thrown together a lot. Blended means you're doing like, we're doing some live stuff, but then you do some stuff on your own. That's mostly what we did at where I was a principal whenever we had those classes. But we had the option for students to be completely asynchronous. I'll tell you this. This is a little thing that I may have told you guys before, but with asynchronous learning, where it's self-paced, it's all relying upon the student. We did interviews before we allowed students to come into our school, and and one of the things we found for success in students with regards to asynchronous online learning, where the course moves because they're rolling through it. They we found that the key component, the key characteristic in students that were successful, it was not that they were smart. It's not that they had like something else, leading up to this. It was honestly, it wasn't even always that the parents were supporting what they were doing. Most of our parents didn't fully understand what we were doing. The thing that we saw with regards to students doing well in online or asynchronous learning, the number one characteristic is that they were motivated. We had students come in, and so here's how we would roll ours. We would go in. Let me switch this over because we got the text in, which I need to start texting you guys that have texted this like, hey, we're going to do this live. I'm going to get better at that. But if you want to sign up for that, it's free to you guys to sign up. Just text teacher to 214-4071. And then I can throw you resources and stuff that we do. So here's how we used to do ours. We started off using Blackboard, and the course was like laid out for you. It did not pace. It would give like a recommended pace, like you could print off a PDF and work through the course. But students didn't want to take that. They wanted to be laid out in what they were doing. And so that course had all those assignments just listed down the left, and it was organized, but it wasn't really pacing for the students. It was just like, here's your whole course, good luck. And then we as teachers had to go in and follow up once a week, like you're behind or you're ahead, how much you got done. Then we switched to a LMS called Odysseyware. And one of the things that made Odysseyware great for us, because we had students at all different areas of the learning spectrum, Odysseyware allowed us to let them choose their pace for a course. And so some students would come in and they would sit down for the semester and they would be like, okay, I want to take these 6 classes at the same time for one semester. Cool, great. Some students would want to come in and be like, hey, I want to take, these 6 classes, but I want to do one class at a time. And so we could actually pace out those courses 4 weeks, and they would just literally work on one class for 7 hours a day for 3 or 4 weeks, and then one class for 7 hours a day. And some students really like that because then they can pace themselves based on like that one class, and they don't have to worry about switching between all these different classes. And what do I have here? And what do I have here? And oh no, I've got 3 tests on the same day. And those students could really just like buckle down and just knock out a class. And again, when I say motivated students, I don't mean just like I'm motivated to make good grades. We had some students come into our school who had failed, their entire 9th grade year. And they're going to come in as 10th graders, and we're trying to help them get caught up and essentially do, 2 grades in 1 year, or maybe get like 1.5 grades done. And then the next year they could do another 1.5 grades. And that's the thing with asynchronous. If they're not pushing a little bit ahead of what a normal class is, they're never going to catch up to that previous year and knock out those other classes. And so the thing with asynchronous is you've got to show them the pace. So if you like, say you hand in the fall, let's say you use a program and you're just like, hey, here's your whole class for the semester to the student. You're going to have to stay on top of them and pace them out with that class. If you just hand it 90, percent of your students are not going to stay ahead of it because most of them are procrastinators, and they're going to wait till the end of the semester, and then they're going to start submitting everything they can the last 3 weeks of school. Okay. So whenever you guys do asynchronous, you need to pace it out as you go throughout the year. And here's the other thing that we did that you can learn from. Whenever we would check their paces, we would do it based off of percentage of the class they had left. So if like you're looking at 16 weeks, we needed them to be at that percent out of 16 done at certain points in the year. With that, we would check it once a week because we had a big bulk of students. We're checking them once a week. You guys, going into the fall, you're not going to be able to just check in and call students and say catch up once a week, because what we found is that if you only do it once a week, you're now asking that student, who traditionally is not a strong student, if they've fallen behind or they've done something has gotten to become a barrier for them, and that's why they've fallen behind. Now they have to do 2 weeks at once, and it's just harder for them, and they start, it's like a wall of snow that builds up, and then it gets so compacted and strong, it feels almost students. Honestly, guys, you're going to need to check in with students that fall behind virtually almost daily. Okay. And so what I'm telling my teachers, and I've told my teachers at our college, but I'm telling teachers at high schools and elementary and anywhere else that I'm getting a chance to talk to people, I'm telling the teachers, you have to build into your schedule during the day, one, preferably 2 times a day, you're following up with students. You're calling students, you're calling parents, you're emailing, you're checking in and trying to follow up on these students. And it can't be just like, oh, they didn't do their work that day, so I emailed them. Yeah, you do that. But then also, if they don't check in after a day, 2 days at the most, you need to call that parent. Be like, hey, I haven't seen from little Johnny in 2 days, and he's 2 days behind. Or little Johnny has not checked in this morning. I need to know if he's going to get logged in by 9:30 a.m. Like, if you can do those check-ins, that's going to help you a lot. Now, a lot of you guys just said on there that you're going to be teaching in person and virtual at the same time. Okay, so there's a couple ways to do this. What I would recommend is you've got to figure out, with the technology you have, what is the easiest way for those students to be in that class. When you could do one option, if you're doing that, that's synchronous learning. So the students are in there at the same time, but you've got students in front of you and you've got students online. You can use this StreamYard, okay, and preferably plug into the internet so you're not lagging like I am. Whenever you could use StreamYard, and then you'll be able to let them see your screen and you at the same time while you're working through this. So see, that's an option for you to run your class. And then that's when you're pushing it out to YouTube, you'll have the video later just in case a student misses it. So go in and try StreamYard out, play with it this summer, start a YouTube channel, and then connect it so you can run StreamYard. That's if you're using slides. If you're not using slides, just download the YouTube app on your phone, and download the YouTube app on your phone, and then you can just run live. Mary just joined the Patreon gang. Thank you so much, Mary, for jumping in. I want you to know I really appreciate that. If you guys want to join Patreon, you can. We're actually doing a giveaway of a Ron Clark book this month, and you've only got a week left. So if you want to win that Ron Clark book, holler at me. And also, if you join Patreon right now, I will straight up just send you some stickers. So make sure you fill out your address when you do it, so that way I can mail you those stickers. If you don't want to give me your address, that's totally cool. I understand that. But that's patreon.com, Tyler Tarver. Thank you, Mary. You're dope. I really appreciate you a lot. So I'm sorry, I got distracted when I saw that push notification. Oh, okay. So if you're streaming and I've got my in-person class, but I also want to run digitally at the same time for students at home, you want to kind of overlap those educations, because if not, you're literally teaching 2 classes. That's 2 preps. And you're going to be finding resources, putting them in. It's just too much. That's going to be too much for you, especially if you've never done this before. Okay. So what you want to do is you want to run your in-person class, but also run the digital class at the same time, and overlap them. Everybody's doing the same stuff. It's just those students aren't sitting in front of you. They're sitting at home watching it. And you can do that. It's not as hard as you think. It's going to be something you can manage. You just have to figure out the technology to supplement it. StreamYard is a good option. That's what we're using right now. If you are just going to be talking, say you are a math teacher. or not a math teacher, history teacher, that would work for history, and you don't have slides, you just want to talk for like 20 or 30 minutes. The easiest way to roll these things live, download the YouTube app. And whenever you're on the YouTube app, there is I'll see if I can show you. On the YouTube app, in the upper right-hand corner after you download it, there's like a little, do you see that little camera with the plus sign? That right there, that will allow you to go live. You click it, it says live, you hit that, you can go live. You just make sure that your students that are at home are they're subscribed to your YouTube channel, or you can toss the link in if you want. But honestly, these students know how to use YouTube. Subscribe channel. They know what time you go live, and you either go live with StreamYard or with your phone on the app. Okay, remember, you're using the phone if you're just talking. You're using this if you are you're using StreamYard or Google Meet or whatever it is you want to present if you're going to use slides. Okay, so that's what I would do. We got a student here. It says you're a student. Jocelyn, I'm a student. How is virtual going to work for me? And I mean, I have internet at home, but I was just asking, how is virtual going to work since I'm doing virtual instead of blended? Okay. Honestly, I don't know. It depends on how your school is setting it up. Every school is doing it different. What we're talking about right now are some ideas for teachers on how they can teach their digital class like we're doing right now, but also teach their in-person class. Discussions, it's going to be different. So what you might do is, like, if I'm teaching and the first part of class, I'm giving the information, I would run StreamYard. I've got my presentation. You can even have this, like I could do this on my smartboard, and that's what the students in the class see, but also students online see it as well. So I could do that right there. Preferably do at least something like this. That way that the students at home can see your face and you're talking and you're presenting to the class. You've also got that on the screen. They can see all of it. Then when you get done with this, you would end your broadcast, and then you want to have them essentially go into a Google Meet for the discussion part of class. And that way you essentially put your computer in that Google Meet, which is attached automatically to your Google Classroom. You could go in, and those students can watch. Those students can be a part of essentially like a learning group on the computer when everybody else is working and doing their thing. And so that's how you're going to have to split that up. And that's essentially blended learning. Now, it's more asynchronous because everything's happening live. Now, what you could do as another option, if you don't want to run it live like this, say you don't want to manage these in the comments and also the students in class, what you could do is you could record what you're doing in class, and then you just assign the link to that YouTube video to your students that are virtual. And essentially your virtual class is a day behind your in-person class. That's another option. Here's the thing though, with virtual learning, a lot of teachers are intimidated by running video on the internet. They just don't like it. As somebody who's had YouTube videos for education up for like 13 years on YouTube, I can understand that because I've been made fun of pretty much every way you can be made fun of on the internet. And it's not bad because I'm mostly doing like education videos and trying to help people. But I mean, people will make fun of my accent from time to time, and I'm always joking around with them. I'm like, well, I talk the way you're supposed to talk. I'm just kidding, but seriously. So that's a way you could do that. In the chat, this is what I want to know, because I really want to address some of y'all's concerns with doing this virtual or this hybrid. Give me what you are most either concerned about or nervous about or most want to know about going into the fall with regards to teaching your students either virtually or in person or certain, like a hybrid of that. So throw that in the chat and then I'll answer those questions. But I want to throw out my ideas of how I would do it based on, previous experience. If you've made videos before, or if you're comfortable with trying stuff like this, do it. Okay, that's great. If your school is buying an LMS, awesome. You should use it because that saves you a ton of time. So that is a ton of time. Whenever you, sorry, I want to answer Lisa's question in a second. So I got thrown off. That's a ton of time that you're gonna have to do making those videos and all that. So I get it, but you could go find a resource. So like I have every lesson from geometry the first 9 chapters. Geometry teachers, if they go to my website, they're set. They got videos for like literally they can just hand it out and the students do the assignments like everybody else. But if you don't find a resource like that or a teacher that has that, then Yeah, you'd have to make it or buy it. If you have an LMS your school's willing to buy, cool, because it's usually all laid out along with assessments. So here's, okay, I've got a few questions in here I want to throw in this. So Lisa, um, Miss Houston, here we go. She said, if you are live on YouTube, is there a way to monitor the comments? I'm worried about what my class students might see. Yeah, I mean, yes, you can monitor the comments. I'm doing that right now. In StreamYard, I can see your comments as they come in. But with monitor, what you probably mean is, can you delete them if something crazy happens? You can. You can do that. I'll be honest, Miss Houston, you're not going to see a lot of random people jump into your class. When like I have like 41,000 subs and I don't have a bunch, like most of you guys came here because I sent the link in Facebook. Like you don't see a lot of random people jump in. Now it could happen. You could get a rando crazy comment, but you're not probably going to see it. But if you want to make sure that they don't jump in, what you can do is you can go live on YouTube, okay, and say you're doing it from your phone or your computer, go live on YouTube and mark it as unlisted, okay? So they have public, which means anybody can find it, private, which means nobody can find it, and unlisted, okay? Unlisted. Now, unlisted means that if they have the exact link to the video, they can watch it. If they don't, they can't. So Lisa, the way I would solve that is you go live on YouTube, but you make it unlisted, and then you would take the link to the video and you would paste it in your Google Classroom. That way you can still be live on YouTube and they can all be in there in the chat, but nobody will be in there except for students that are in your Google Classroom because they would have the exact link. So that's how I would get around that. Mary. Okay, so Mary said, by the way, one more shout out to Mary for hitting up the Patreon, patreon.com/Tyler Tarver. Really appreciate you a lot. You're awesome, Mary. I'm sending you some stuff. Concerned about attendance, mostly for those who are distance learning. Yeah, I'll be honest. I run a college and I've got amazing students. I'm also worried about that. Okay, so if you're running it to where you've got this streaming, you could do check-in. You know how at the beginning of this, I'm like, tell me what coffee you have. You could literally tell your students online and say, hey, guys, tell me that you're here. And you could take attendance and literally count them absent if they don't say, we're here, we're here. That's from like Horton Hears a Who. We are here, we are here. That's what I think of every time I do that. But you could make them say that they're present on these live streams whenever you go live, and then you can take roll for your students in here. Now, here's what I'm telling with my college students. I'm telling them, because most of what they'll be doing on the video is receiving the information, I'm telling them if you can't make it live while it's streaming with the teacher, then you have to let the teacher know beforehand, communicate clearly beforehand that you're not going to be in class live while it's happening and that you will watch it, the video, right after it's done. Okay, so what happens is when they let them know beforehand, that's intentionality for students that they know class is coming. They didn't just oversleep and they don't want to go or whatever. They're playing Fortnite and they skipped it. They're letting them know, hey, I can't make it. And then they tell their teacher, I will let you know as soon as I've watched it, and maybe even require them to send in a few notes from that. So like that being part of the chat is optimal because then people can actually, participate. But what you could require is like, hey, if you're virtual and you don't attend while it's happening and participate in the chat, then you could tell them you have to take, a full page of notes and send me the Google Doc afterwards, right after. Because that's the thing, they can still get the information on the video afterwards, but you want to essentially hold them accountable that they watched it, not just like, oh, I watched it, okay, and they really didn't. All right, let's see. I got some other good questions in here. Tammy said, if you use YouTube, Google Meet, admin can easily drop in and hang out. That's exactly right. If you use YouTube, you're literally running it. You can drop people out. You could do this too. Oh my goodness. Here's an idea, Lisa. I want to throw this in. And Tammy, it fits in with what you're saying. If you're running a YouTube live video or a premiere, you can add people as moderators. So what you could do is you could have a student or two in your class that have the video up while you're teaching. Plus, they'd be able to tell you if something messed up on the recording, or if they couldn't see you or something was going wrong. They'd be like your monitors. You could make those students your student moderators, and you can give them from their YouTube account. You give them the ability to like delete comments, tag stuff. And then they could even call out stuff because it's hard to moderate these comments, moderate the class. You could have those two student moderators sit there and they could say, hey, Miss Houston, we have a question from so and so here. This is what they said, and they're like almost like facilitators, like a moderator for you to the online chat. A lot of chats that I'm doing right now, a lot of people will bring on someone as a moderator to throw in these questions. I'm really just talking straight to you guys, but I know a lot of people that do that with these. So Julie, I sorry I missed your question. You said your concern is classroom management in person. Okay, in person, we know that. We know what we're running into. It's just now we have this worldwide pandemic to play into it and social distancing and all that. So I can see where that is an issue. But here's what I recommend for online. Come up with the in-person equivalent for online disruption. So if a student walked into your class and just said a cuss word, okay, you need to let students know if you curse or say something inappropriate or you're mean in the comments or the chat on the video, that is equivalent to just walking into the class and saying something inappropriate or saying something rude to another student. So in your handbook, you find the equivalent. Now, in suspension, I guess would look different, wouldn't it? So it's like, how does your principal hold that up? And I mean, grades, usually for discipline, you don't want to hit grades with discipline. But what you could do is maybe they're required to come in person for a week and you have like a sanitized room and they have to sit in there because they're probably at home for, to stay away from that. But if you maybe made them come in, that's something they don't want to do. You got to find something that essentially inconveniences them, or even better, inconveniences their parents. So maybe that they have to do like a parent virtual meeting. Like every day that they act up, they've got to do a parent virtual meeting that night for like 30 minutes to an hour, and the parent has to be present. Most parents don't like that. So anytime you can inconvenience the parents, that usually makes them hold the students more accountable. And the students know they're being held accountable for it. So let's see, we got some other good questions in here. Classroom management. Screenshot, our new best friend. Yeah, to be honest with you, it is. And if you do like this, I don't know if you guys noticed this, but after this video ends, or you can go back to like one of my previous videos we've done together, you can click to where you can see the chat roll live. So it doesn't disappear. It's still there. And you could go in and take roll. So like if I can't take roll while you guys are saying we're here in the chat, I could go back later and watch it and just mark you guys off as you check in. So screenshots, also a great way to, yes, Tammy, that is an awesome idea. Screenshots are an awesome way to brag about students. So if a student does something digitally or virtually, if you can screenshot it and then you brag about it either online or on your Instagram, your school's page, you can email it out. If you have a classroom Facebook page, your school can start bragging about it. Send it to your principal. They want to brag about the students. And so as long as it's appropriate, you can brag about the stuff they're doing virtually. Okay, that's worthy of bragging on because that's students that don't have a teacher standing right over them and they're doing what they're supposed to be doing. So brag about those students. Mary said, I still cannot wrap my mind around teaching online while teaching students in my classroom. Mary, I'll be honest, you're going to have to get used to it. I didn't mean that like you're going to have to get used to it. I mean, it's going to take a while to get used to it because it's not natural for us because we are used to teaching people in person. And so you're just going to have to, honestly, it's just time. Time and reps are going to give you that opportunity to get used to it. Sorry, I said that weird the first time. I wasn't trying to be rude. I was trying to say it will take you time just to get used to that. Now, I will say this. Your audience knows who you're talking to. So like right now, you guys know you are my first priority. You are who I'm talking to. That's the part. You guys are who I'm focusing on. Now, whenever I'm doing like a hybrid model, your students in class and your students online are going to know who your primary audience is. The students in class are going to know you're teaching to them and you're also doing digital, but your digital people, they're going to know if you're talking to them, and then the people in the class will feel it if they're just present in that moment. So the people you're talking to know who your primary audience is, and you just got to figure out what works best for you. One thing that I will say that is fun, and we've been actually doing this at my church, is we haven't instituted it fully, but we have talked about it and kind of laid out some plans for it. One thing that you could do is you could essentially teach for digital first, but then you make the people in your class, make them all essentially like part of the learning. So it's like, and they are part of the learning, but you make it to where they're part of the digital learning. So you could have on their Chromebook, you could be teaching and you're guiding it towards the virtual if a lot of your class is virtual. And then you could have all of them like active in the chat. They just have their volume turned down. So it's like when you say something, instead of them actually saying it out loud, you can have them inputting it in the chat, and then that gets the discussion going for your full virtual kids. So let me see. Let me keep going. Definitely gonna be. Oh, you're right, Mary. It is. It straight up is a juggling act because you're going between this and this. I really like the student moderator thing we talked about earlier. So try that out, and then let me know how it goes once you start rolling. Lisa had a good question. It said it will be difficult to build relationships and trust with the virtual students. Do you have any suggestions? Yes, I do. I have some thoughts on that. So and this is for, okay, think in your mind, this is for virtual students and you've got students in class, but let's also think of the mindset of it's a month in, we're in September and everybody's virtual, okay? And then it's almost like you kind of got to do this stuff. Here's the thing to keep in mind. These students, these young people, they connect with people online all the time. There are TikTokers, there are Instagrammers, there are YouTubers that they feel like are their best friends. Titus. Titus used to watch, he doesn't anymore, but he used to watch Ryan's Toy Review. And then Titus wanted to start a gaming channel. So we started filming YouTube gaming videos. We'd film the videos. Well, Titus, this is a few years ago, he would go up to the camera and he'd be like, all right, guys, thanks for watching our video. If you want to subscribe, Ryan, if you're watching, please subscribe to this. He thought that like Ryan would be watching our videos. Ryan, who has like 10 million, oh no, he's got more than 10 million. He's got millions upon millions of subscribers. He thinks he might be watching because these young people, and this is kindergarten through 12th grade, these young people, they feel like these people they watch and consume their content online, they feel like they are their best friends. They feel like they are like, they get this glimpse into their life. And so, Lisa, where that comes in for us as teachers and connecting with these students virtually is that, yes, you could do a Google Meet. You could do a hangout with a student and chat with them and ask them about them and all this. But that's going to take up so much time going individually. We don't even have time in person to do that and sit down and like hang out and interview every student every week. But what you could start doing is take on almost this style that these TikTokers and YouTubers are doing to connect with these young people. So this is what I've been recommending to teachers. And you should do this if you have a hybrid and you've got some students virtual and some in person. But also if you're fully online, I would start my year doing this so that you can get in the habit of doing this with your students, okay? Make a video. If you can do it once a week, that's minimum, but ideally every single day, make a video, film with your phone, and just hold your phone up. I'll even allow it to be vertical if you want, okay? But you can do it horizontal if you wanted to make it like a movie. But film a 1 to 2 minute video of you giving the announcements and talking to your class, okay? So we used to do this at all of my students every day in person. So I would record every morning. I'd record the 5-minute announcements. I would tell them the announcements. Then I'd also joke with them. I'd maybe tell them a little story about myself. I would ask them to email me a thought on this, or, hey, the question of the day is, what is your favorite movie? Email it to me. And then you would just get to see a little bit about them, or say in the chat what your favorite movie is. Do those videos every morning, and they don't have to be high quality. I'm talking super easy, super simple. It's essentially you doing a daily check-in community. Think of it as like a community check-in with all of your students. You're checking in with them. You're letting them know, hey, this week we're learning about this. I'm really excited about it because of this. My family and I just went to Florida on this. I hope you guys are staying safe. In the chat, today's question of the day is, let me know what your favorite pizza place is. And you're essentially creating conversation, but you're also letting them get to know you and connect with you there. And I know it feels narcissistic. I know it feels a little selfish because you're talking about yourself, but honestly, think of your classroom. While you might try to like ask students questions occasionally, most of the time it's you talking and them getting to know you, and then you grabbing little bits of information that you can get about them. And I think you can do that probably even better here if every student is checking in the chat or in the discussion. And so that's what I would do to line that out. Now, here's the deal, and I'm going to lay this out there because I know a lot of you guys are thinking this. You don't want to be on YouTube. I totally get that. Okay, I guess I have thousands of videos on YouTube. I understand it. Okay, but you do not have to be on YouTube to post videos for your classes. It is so simple and so easy, and it can be done from your phone. Download the Google Classroom app on your phone. Go into your announcement stream, and then you say like, community Monday, community hangout week 1. Okay, title it whatever you want. You can click the click the little attachment. It's a little paper clip, and then it has the option for camera. You can turn on video and you can record that announcement. Okay. I know it sounded complicated. Literally go into Classroom and try it. Email me and I'll make a video on it if you want. I know I've already made a video on it. I'll see if I can find the video and I'll toss it in the description. You can go into Google Classroom, make a video directly in Google Classroom and upload it into Google Classroom. It does not go to YouTube. Okay. It goes directly into a Google Drive file as a video, and it is only shared with your students. It's only shared with your students. So you can make community videos every day that are just for your class, not out on YouTube, not out to the world, just for your class in there. And then you can always ask that discussion question to where they go in. You guys have heard me talk about those quote of the day bell ringers. If you want them, they're on my website. It's free. Obviously, it's free. Go to tarveracademy.com and then click on bell ringers. And under quote of the day, I made that so you could post it every day and create a quick discussion with students where they have to think and give their thoughts, and you can get to know a little bit about them, and they can actually get to know a little bit about themselves. This should happen before that. It's where they connect with you. This is your community moment via video with your classes. If you have a hybrid class and you have students in class and you have students at home, make everyone watch the video. Make even your in-person students, like, you got to take roll every day, whether you're kindergarten up to seniors and you've got to take roll every class period. You have to take roll. So make all your students spend those first 2 minutes watching your community video and then commenting in the discussion, in person and at home. And that will get you the reps for those in-person students in case they do have to go home later in the semester. So that was it. I'm sorry I got hype about that. I got excited. I love community when it comes to virtual learning. And so, I get hype on that. If you guys want, I'm going to have to get off here because I've got to go to a meeting. But if you want, here are a few ways we can connect. If you text teacher to this, I'm going to get better. I just want to send out encouragement to you guys. I want to send out resources. It is free for you as long as you don't get charged like 10 cents a text. Okay. It costs me, but it's free for you. So if you want to do that, you can. Patreon, we're doing a giveaway. If you want to go to this, go to my Patreon. If you want, I'm doing the giveaway to anybody. If you want to contribute and be a part of that Patreon community, you can. But also just comment on my last post and you get entered to win Ron Clark's book, The Essential 55. I'm giving that away next week. And also, if you sign up for Patreon, I'm going to send you some stickers. I'm sending you some stickers. Everybody that did, I'm sending you stuff. I might even send you more than that. I'll grab books off my shelf and send them to you if you sign up. I'd be so hyped for you to sign up for my Patreon. And the last thing, and you guys know this, if you hit that red subscribe button, that's completely free. And do that for not just me, any educator you find, check them out and subscribe. And one amazing educator that actually had the resource that inspired today's talk, check out Nadine. I've put the link to this resource in the description. Check it out. It is an awesome resource, and give her a shout out on YouTube or Twitter, wherever you can find her. She's awesome. Thank you guys so much for joining me. You guys are incredible. Those of you that I've seen multiple times in here, Tammy, Mary, Lisa, others that I can't see on my screen right now. Thank you guys for being a part of this. I know you don't have to do this. You may be getting PD hours, which would be awesome, but you might not. And I just really appreciate you hanging out with us today. Y'all be good, stay sweet, and never stop learning. I'll see you guys later.